The First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo has applauded Ghanaians for the overwhelming support they have showed towards the Save a Child, Save a Mother project. Mrs. Akufo-Addo says this shows the readiness of Ghanaians to always support a worthy cause. This is a campaign she embarked on together with a Multimedia Group Limited some 2 months ago, raising funds to build a new maternity block for the mother and child unit of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. It was inspired by Joy News' Seth Kwame Boateng's special assignment documentary, Next to Die, which highlighted the needless deaths of women and babies at the facility. Though the fundraising has reached the initial 10 million cedis target, Mrs. Akufo-Addo says it will continue so other facilities can benefit. Her next target is the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital.
The attention of government has for many years shifted from completing the block tipped to be the solution to the serious congestion at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. A recent Joy News special assignment documentary revealed how, on the average, about 4 babies die daily due to this congestion. Though the First Lady and a Multimedia Group Limited have mobilized funds constructing a new maternity and mother and baby unit as an interim solution.
I am feeling quite good about the project. It's going quite well. And getting to this point, yes, I knew that somehow the way people have come to support, I knew that we'll get here very quickly, and I'm very happy with the progress so far. It's a great feeling that we'll be able to save 4 to 8 lives a day. It's a phenomenal thing, and we thank God for that. Can't wait for the opening in October. It tells you Ghanaians are very caring. If they know what is happening, they're ever prepared to come along and help. And so I'm telling Ghanaians today there's a lot more to be done. I'm going to be moving from project to project. And once Save a Child, Save a Mother is done, I'm going to move, if I can say, to Korle Bu, to the emergency ward. And so I still need their support. It's ongoing. And I know they'll always rally to support any good cause.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Dr. Oheniba Owusu-Danso, has pledged to do all he can to ensure the completion of the over 40-year-old abandoned mother and baby units projects at the facility. The structure, which was started in the late 70s, is estimated to have almost 1,000-bed capacity maternity and pediatric block. And this obviously follows the commencement of work on the new mother and baby units block, spearheaded by the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo and the Multimedia Group Limited.
The attention of government has for many years shifted from completing the block tipped to be the solution to the serious congestion at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. A recent Joy News special assignment documentary revealed how, on the average, about 4 babies die daily due to this congestion. Though the First Lady and a Multimedia Group Limited have mobilized funds constructing a new maternity and mother and baby unit as an interim solution. Chief Executive Officer of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Dr. Oheniba Owusu-Danso, says his aim is to see to the finishing of the main block.
In all the submissions I've made, the bigger passion is the completion of the 900-bed MBU block. Because let me tell you what, this building, even though it's being tailored for mothers and babies, as we call it, it is not exactly so. It is to do with the fact that the whole operation of our clinical services in this hospital are so badly encumbered. Even this facility where this interview is taking place, I mean the accident and emergency block, the work here has been constrained. The work here has been so badly compromised to the extent that patients who are supposed to stay here for just 24 hours, maximum 48 hours, are sometimes spending days here, all because all the clinical wards sometimes become choked. Komfo-Anokye cries for space, and it is because of its unique situation, the fact that we are centrally located in the middle of the country. We have all kinds of patients coming from every region in the country and from all the borders, across the borders of Ghana. So the completion of this 900-bed facility, which will create enough space, theaters and what have you, and improve the clinical services for mothers and babies there, is also going to give us additional space in the old block for us to begin to space out.
The over 40-year abandoned project, when completed, will have almost 1,000-bed capacity for maternity and pediatric care.
The deplorable state of classrooms in the Sablugu-Nanton Municipal Assembly in the Northern Region continues to affect the enrollment figures among primary school pupils in the area. One of the most affected schools is a DRA Al Hussein English and Arabic Primary School, where pupils have to spend the first few hours of their class session to clean cow dung from the thatched roofed structures which serve as classrooms. On Joy News Agenda, Northern Regional Correspondent Hashmin Mohammed traveled to DRA and reports that parents are afraid to send their children to school.
Voices of pre-primary pupils of DRA Al Hussein English and Arabic Primary School being led by their teacher to sing and praise God to avert rainfall that can disrupt their class session. The school children learn under a structure built of tree stumps and roof with zinc work on by the community members. Rusty nails in the school building and roofing shades can no longer hold the tree stumps firmly together, exposing children in the school to danger. Al-Hassan Memunatu, a class 6 pupil of the school, tells Joy News the situation in the school makes learning difficult for them.
We cannot learn well in this structure. We spend much time cleaning animals' feces every day. We also close when it starts raining.
The bad structure of the school is just part of the problems of the school. Inadequate classroom block also compels teachers of the school to combine 2 classes in 1 classroom block. Headmaster of the school, Deshini Abdallah Mustafa, says parents hold onto their children in the house with at least clouds of threats of rains for fear that the rains could possibly wash down the classrooms.
I think our main challenge of the school is the structure. See the way the structure is. The way the structure is, the children don't want to come to school for the fear of being mocked at in the community. Most of them have stopped coming to school, and when they even come, learning is ineffective and teaching is very ineffective. When it threatens to rain, you close early. We just when the rain is coming, we just close, and then maybe we'll go home, and then the rain will not come again. So when we come back to the community, we will only get some few children to come back to school. So the structure is really our major problem. And even animals, domestic animals, when we just close, they also take over the structure. And the following day, we'll spend much time in cleaning animal remains before classes will start. Because the children are afraid to come to school because of the nature of the structure. Their colleagues in other schools usually mock at them. They tease them, and for the fear of that tease, they don't want to come to school, only to be mocked by their colleagues.
In 2012, the District Assembly awarded a contract for the construction of a new 6-unit classroom block for the community, but that has been abandoned by the contractor at foundation stage, making weed to take over the site. For Joy News, Hashmin Mohammed reports from DRA.
Elsewhere, getting access to tractor services in some communities in the northern belt of the country has been difficult. Such communities have no choice than to remain with the traditional methods of plowing using hoe or bullocks. The latter, however, is what they now rely on most to plow their lands. For the bullocks to work effectively on the farms, they need to be well catered for, including having access to veterinary services. Our Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam visited Nandom Ko and shares the story of how farmers are grappling with the situation.
If you have any feeling or thought that the use of bullock for plowing is a thing of the past due to the introduction of heavy farm machines and special tractor services, you have to quickly abandon that thought or feeling. Ko, located in the Nandom district of the Upper West region, is one such community who are not prepared to change their old ways and heavily rely on the services of these animals. Even though the community is predominantly a farming community, getting access to tractor or paying for its services is difficult. They are, however, aware that plowing with a tractor is quicker than using the animals. Chief of Co, Nadon Jinne, propounded reasons why they are addicted to using blocks for plowing.
The tractor will go too deep into the soil, and that will get the fertile soil far into the ground. So the yield is not as great as when the blocks get this thing. And now with the block plowing too, it's cheaper to get the block plowing because you read the blocks, then you plow with it, then it can still also give you manure. So with the manure, you not even get that fertilizer to buy. So with the blocks too, you are able to get this manure to fertilize your thing. You get it to farm for you, and then it is also economical in a way that you don't pay so much for the services. The tractor too, when it comes out, you have a lot of people going for it, and now it is easier. He can, now that he's doing it, he does it at his own time. The time you need a tractor, you may not get it. But this time like this, anytime he wants to plow, he just puts his plow on the blocks on the farm, and they're doing the work.
Despite the ease at which they work with the bullocks, they are unable to get veterinary services for them. As a result, the animals grow lean and weak and unable to plow. Thomas Guo owns and operates bullocks here at Co.
I need to quarry. I tell it to me on now. To me on anything.
Taking care of the bullocks is very difficult. There is a particular drug we give to them for them to grow fat and have strength in order to plow for us. We struggle to get the money to buy the drug. Money is hard to come by these days. We will be happy if the drug could be given to us at a subsidized rate to enable us buy and still have money to take care of our families.
The school fee, ane abe busuri, ane abe game yele ametuo sunti, atemetuo atinwanyati, atemetuo kabe.
A view better recorded by the Chief of Co and laced with a passionate appeal to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to come to their aid.
Veterinary services are also costly to take care of them. So until they see that a cow is sick, they don't have the tendency to give it the proper treat, the proper feed, and then the maintenance for it to work more for them. Like the way it gets weak, they just allow it to rest more and go back to the farm. Yes, it would have been good that the agri sector, maybe these extension officers come to our aid. But with this side, it's difficult for them to come. They will come and they say that they don't have this, they don't have that. And it is difficult, even though they are there. Many farmers do not have the services of the agri extension officers. So maybe if they come to the aid of the block farmers.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Nandumko.
The Council for Technical and Vocational Training will soon undertake an audit process and review vocational and technical education in the country to meet national aspirations. Executive Director Dr. Alfred Chei Asamoah has been speaking at a skills exhibition at the Kumasi Technical University, from where Kwesi Deborah reports.
A report by the World Bank estimates Ghana's youth population stands at 24 million. It acknowledges the country has made impressive gains in economic growth and poverty reduction over the last 2 decades. Skills development is identified as crucial to enhance Ghana's competitiveness, to improve social inclusion and poverty alleviation. Dr. Chia Samoa says there's the need to bridge the development gap by transforming technical and vocational education.
Skill development is very critical in making this country an industrialized nation, and ensuring that we create one of the robust economies, not only in Africa but in the world. As such, we have a lot of projects ongoing to beef up whatever we've had in the past to transform technical and vocational education. most importantly of these is to have a comprehensive skill gap analysis and also audit, and also to have a need assessment of all our technical and vocational institutions, and also profile them and see where we fall short so that we can beef up and equip them and help increase capacity.
He says government's One District, One Factory initiative requires advanced skills to execute.
To make the One District, One Factory successful, the council, under the directive of the president, is collaborating with the trade ministry to see and to also project the skills that will be needed by these factories. So before these factories become available, are ready to work, we will have the skill needed to ensure that these factories or industries are successful.
World Skills Exhibition Day, which falls on July 15, will showcase the country's vocational and technical prowess for accelerated growth. Acting Vice-Chancellor of the Kumasi Technical University, Professor Siama Yeboah, urges private sector players to promote such exhibition.
The direct beneficiary of this exhibition is supposed to be the private sector. Because what we do here as technical universities is that we go into research, we discover it, and when we discover it, we partner the private sector. They help us in commercializing it. So the direct beneficiary is the private sector. So I urge them to join hands in sponsoring some of these programs.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
And that will be it for the AM News. Of course, as always, we do have a lot more news on myjoyonline.com. We'll visit the page in a bit, though, as well as take a review of the newspapers that we have right here on the show this morning. But I just want to remind all of us that we have a pension conversation. And our guest said to me in preparation for this conversation that you have to begin thinking about pension, retirement as early as 20 years. But how many of us actually even know this? And how soon do we even think about saving towards pension? That's a great conversation that we'll be having on the show this morning. And he's going to do a few tabulations for us as well. So you can come in with your age, with your salary, and get a great solid plan going for you. But there's also one other thing that he said, which reassures me very much, that it's never ever too late to plan towards pension, but it's always better to do it very early. So that's a conversation that we're having. And then we'll also host these young girls who say they were going to write their oral English paper back in 2015. They graduated senior high school, by the way, just this year. And they saw these people were walking barefoot, and that inspired them to raise some funds and get some shoes for them. That's a very worthy cause, and we thought it would be part of it. So we'll share that story with you and see how you can also support. And then, of course, we've got our AM talk. But after the newspaper headlines, we'll have sports. And we know we have a Grand Slam champion in Wimbledon, but he set a record, one that nobody has done before. We're talking about King Federer the 8th. Okay, that's not really his name. It's only because he's done it for the 8th time, and it's an amazing win. That's plus other sporting stories when Benedict joins us in the studio later on. But we also know that Christopher Opoku, our own Christopher Opoku, was laid to rest last Saturday. Benedict will share a lot more when he joins us on sports. Keep those comments coming through on our WhatsApp and on our SMS line. Here's one from Babakia Samedin from Besse, my very good friend. And this ties very well with our motivation provided to us by Patricia Gasso this morning. Bambakia says, you must learn to discipline your mind, your mouth, and your emotions. Unless you learn to rule over these things, you will never achieve the success that rightful belongs to you. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try to be good, other people will always see your flaws. So just remind yourself that you don't live to please people, but to please God, and be happy within yourself. That's Very inspiring. So stay with us, the newspapers, and I'll tell you where Roland is when I return. Stay with us.